All right, everybody, welcome back to the Corona Geek on air hangout here live on Google Plus. This is episode 16, and today we've got a special guest in house with us. We've got Eric Dyck from Tap for Tap. How you doing, Eric?
I'm fantastic. How are you, Charles?
I'm going great. Now you're where? You're
I'm in Victoria, British Columbia. As I was saying to you in the pre-interview here, this is my very first Google Hangout.
that's an interesting way to say it. That's great.
Yeah, that's how we say it in Canada.
Well, also on the panel here we've got Dr. Brian Burton with us
Hello.
as usual,
It's
and
good to see everybody. Hope everybody's coming out of their turkey coma.
the Turkey Coma. Oh, I wonder if that domain name is available.
I
Turkeycoma.com.
need to check on that.
And then, of course, in the middle there, we've got Christopher Ward and myself, Charles McKeever.
How's
And
it going?
and so this weekend this weekend you got me started on the weekend already. This week we're going to talk about a variety of things. And Toff, if you would, just kind of take us through the agenda and tell us what we're going to talk about.
We'll do. Okay, as always, we have T-shirts. We've got Big Corona Meetup we're going to talk about, and you can nominate Corona for something. We're going to tell you what. The big note for builds is that the evening daily builds are going to start back up tonight, and that's simply because 971 became the current public release. Yay! That was always good. Developer spotlight over there. There's a couple over there. We have Eric and for Tap, so we're going to talk a lot about that. And next we got Thanksgiving and fiber, so you're just going to have to wait for that one.
That scares me.
I know. Hey, it's on the notes. It's got to be good, right? And then we're going to talk about who's next.
That's right. So let's go ahead and jump on into the T-shirt contest. So last time we announced that we were going to be giving away T-shirts. They're basically going to be Corona Labs T-shirts. So Corona Labs has been generous enough to agree to give out T-shirts. If we'll take on handling getting signups and picking a winner, they'll send out the T-shirts. Now we did have some questions as to whether or not those T-shirts would be available internationally, and I have got confirmation on that yes, we can send that outside the state of Texas. Which to me is internationally. But yeah, so if you'll go to coronageek.com/giveaway, we've got an entry form there. You can enter for a chance to win, and so we need to pick a winner for today's T-shirt. So I sent out on Twitter, asked for a number between 1 and 10, and basically we got the very first answer we got was number 3, which was Jonathan Wheat. And because
Woohoo!
and Jonathan actually said Jonathan or 3, whichever works. And I'm only going to go ahead and go with that because A, he was the very first person to chime in, and B, there's no real way that he could know that he was the third person. It's just complete luck. So I'm going to go ahead and pick him as the winner. So Jonathan, you're going to get a T-shirt coming your way pretty soon. So thanks for entering and thanks for nominating yourself, I guess. All right. So that's the T-shirt out of the way. So yeah, definitely be sure to sign up for that because you can't enter if you don't win, or you can't win if you don't enter. Something like that. I don't know. We're making this stuff up as we go. So yes, and next weekend. Speaking of making stuff up, next weekend, this Saturday, December 1st, we're going to have the big Corona meetup. It's going to be 6 hours of Corona madness. It's going to start in Boston, then it's going to hand it over to you, Brian, in
Yes.
Abilene, Texas, and then we're going to go off to, is it not Honolulu? Is it Honolulu? We're going to go off to Hawaii. I think maybe Honolulu. Anyway, we're going to go off to Hawaii and finish it up there. But
Well, and somewhere in the middle there, we're going to have somebody from the Corona head office in San Francisco.
yeah,
So,
we're going to get somebody, cleaning staff,
somebody. We'll find somebody there at Corona Labs.
Yeah. So yeah, they're going to come in and talk with us, and that's going to be great. So we did have a question about that as to whether or not that was going to be recorded. And yes, it is. We're going to record that here, and we're also going to record that at a separate location, and then that way, hopefully, we can get a full recording of the entire 6 hours, which we will we will break up into smaller chunks, hopefully, some way, somehow. But that's going to be December 1st, so be sure to check out the show notes for that so that you can join us for that event. Now, Brian, you sent out a thing over the weekend for nominating Corona Labs for something. What was that about?
Yes, Corona Labs is up for the Crunchies, which is a big technological award. I'm not sure why it's named Crunchies. I haven't researched it that much, but last year Dropbox was the winner. So this is, it's a big deal. I mean, I use Dropbox practically every single day, and so I also use Corona every single day. So I think Corona should be the winner for 2012. But if everybody could nominate the Corona Labs as their preference, we'll be posting a link to it in the show notes. Just click on it, and the nomination is really, really easy. So,
yeah. Now Chris has got it up on the screen here, and when you click on the link, it actually takes you to the nomination page, and it's got Corona Labs in the nomination field. So all you have to do is click the link, click the nominate button. It couldn't be easier than that. And it's Crunchies because it's TechCrunch.
Oh, well, that makes sense.
Not Captain.
Yeah, you're
Not
right.
Captain.
Right. That's what I was thinking. Not because the cereal is tasty.
And this is just within the next 2 weeks we need to do this. So if you're watching this before December 6th, make sure you go to the Tech Crunchies or TechCrunch and nominate Corona Labs for a Crunchie.
Yeah, definitely. This is a do it now sort of thing. As soon as you see the link, go ahead and click it and nominate because tomorrow will be too late. But you can do it tomorrow, but just not too late. Okay.
As long as tomorrow's not December 7th.
Right. Whenever you're watching this video. Okay. So let's talk about the latest build notes real quick because there's nothing to talk about.
That's a real easy one since, the public release came out during the show last week, and we learned about it as we were broadcasting. So, daily builds resume tonight.
Yeah.
Or that's the plan, which starts the next cycle. They're going to be adding a bunch of new features, get all the bugs out, and then make it a public release in approximately, I think the plan was every 2 months.
Okay.
Or was it every month? 2 weeks on, 2 weeks debugging? I don't remember. Anyhow, it's a 2 weeks or 2 periods of time for adding innovation, and then 2 periods of time for debugging the innovations, and then it becomes public again. So we're starting the next innovation cycle.
Debugging the innovations. I love that. That's great. Well, for anybody who's not, who's just joining the show, who maybe hasn't heard some of this before, Corona Labs has just released a public release, a general public release that includes everything that they've been working on. I don't know, like I said, maybe the past couple of months, and that includes the iPhone 5 updates, the Game Center updates, iOS 6 stuff. I mean, everything that's come along recently is in this build, and so that used to be just, or those features were just for paid developers who got advanced access to that. Now that it's been rolled forward to a public release, everybody has access to it, so that's a great time. Now, I will say that today is Cyber Monday, and if you go to coronalabs.com, you will see that they have a Cyber Monday special going on there. If you buy a license today, then you get, I think, Quicksure.
Yes.
For 60% off of what it would normally be. So now it would be the time, if you were going to buy a license, now would be a good time to do it because obviously you get that extra benefit. And as these new features begin to roll out, then those features will be available only to the paid developers until they do that next general release. So you kind of want to get in and have early access to things. The best example I can think of was when they released the Nook SDK, the integration with Nook. That was one of the things that was for a paid developer. And
iOS 5 as well. When the iPhone 5 came out with the larger screen, it was the paid developers that had access to that build first.
Yeah. So there you go. There's your reasons why you would want to be a paid developer, and so now it's a good time. Even though they've just done a public release, it's still a good time to be a paid developer, because we had Jordan shoots on the program, and he credited being able to use Corona SDK as one of his success factors and being able to get into the Nook marketplace. You know, being able to get there fast, being able to get there early, and being able to get there before some of the noise. So being a paid developer has its benefits. So let's talk about some of the blog highlights from the Corona blog. I don't know if you guys had seen the what's called the predetermined transition manual animation blog post. But it's
that was a really good blog.
It is a really good blog, and did you notice that it's the same developer that did the dynamic bitmap sprite sheets? Okay.
Yes, that's that's almost as good as the blog post that they put up last week on JSON and MySQL.
Oh, yeah. That guy's
almost,
brilliant.
yeah.
Follow that link, yeah.
Follow that link. That'll be in the show notes as well. Yeah. Brian contributed an awesome tutorial on how to get information off of a remote server into your app, store it in a database, and be able to pull it back out and use it. So we linked to that last time in the last show, but it's something that these things come onto the blog so quickly that just because it's 2 links down doesn't mean that it's any less relevant. It's still fresh, good content. But this one does the whole predetermined transition. Basically, what the developer figured out was a way to make transitions 20% faster by stuffing information into an array, especially if that information was going to be the same every time. So rather than having to calculate it on the fly and use processing time for that, he just kind of stuck all the values in an array, and you can go and flip through those as needed. Which, again, this is the same developer that gave us the dynamic sprite sheets, where basically he took his image and chopped it up into a bunch of little pieces, arms and legs and feet and heads and stuff like that, and then combined it all in together to make a moving character that was a very, very lightweight sprite sheet, which also had like colors and different features and different. I mean, it was a really good article.
It's brilliant. I mean, what this guy has done for improving the performance of your app is really, really good. I mean, a 20% improvement on doing such a simple little thing, and he gives you the code to do it. That's he went from 52 frames per second to 58 frames per second. That's going to be a noticeable difference.
Yeah,
in the performance of your app.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to be that big of a deal in my app. But I'm sure I'm sure the more graphics intensive it becomes, every little bit counts. So anyway, we'll put a link to that in the show notes. That's definitely worth going to check out, and I'll link also to the previous article that he did. That was there as well. I thought that was really interesting, and so we'll have those. Now, speaking of improving things, there's a lot going on right now in the mobile space, and I read a great article on Corona Labs blog that talked about fragmentation in the marketplace, and the fact that it's not just Android that has fragmentation; it's also everything else that is related to mobile. And so what we want to do today is we want to talk with you, Eric, about Tap for Tap and how Tap for Tap can help you promote your app.
Exactly. Yeah, well, again, thanks for having me here. I first just want to let everyone know that this is not my regular mustache. My regular mustache is much bigger. We're promoting some money for Movember here at Tap for Tap. We've raised over $1,000 already, so we're pretty excited about that. But that's what we're doing for prostate cancer and men's mental health awareness. But for mobile app developers, we've really been focusing on helping them have the most cost-effective form of promotion possible out there. So we started about March of last year with the really simple idea that we wanted to create basically a link exchange that was specifically for mobile app developers in this sort of closed environment of app development. And it went really well. We got a lot of people signed up to join this service. We're up to over 6,000 developers now who've actually signed up and are exchanging applications, and that's across iOS and Android platforms. But yeah, so it started with this really simple idea of just basically, you've got an impression, I've got an impression, let's sort of share our audiences and sort of both benefit, sort of turning our competition into cooperation. What was the basic idea that we started with. And it sort of evolved from there. In the past, about 3 weeks ago, we actually switched from a very simple impression exchange to a tap exchange. And so what that essentially means is that if you install our SDK, you earn a tap on an ad unit that's inside your app. You will then be paid back by having us generate a tap for you on someone else's app. So it's really all in the name there. And then on our side, we do our best to match up those taps in real time. So we're basically identifying as many different parameters about the apps that we can and trying to make them as sort of cooperative as possible in promoting each other in the most sort of optimized and effective way. So yeah, so that's basically what we're trying to do for apps. We've generated, generating thousands of apps for free every day. We're just coming up on 100,000 installs generated for app developers. So it's all been done without them ever paying us anything. They only pay us with their ad inventory.
Now how does that work? When you say pay us with your ad inventory, how does that work?
So essentially, we always say it's cost free because it's not costing any money. But what app developers are paying us with is they're allowing us to populate their ad inventory with our ads. So there is a cost associated with that, just not a monetary cost. Our actual take in this equation is we take 20% of the impressions that are generated. So that's actually tap for tap's margin. We take 20% of the impressions that a given app might have for their ad inventory, and then we monetize that with partners that do pay us directly on usually on a cost per install or perhaps a cost per click or CPM basis. So that's how we keep the lights on.
Gotcha. Okay, so out of that, 80% is for what? Is for just developers to exchange taps with each other?
Exchange taps with each other, exactly. And there's also, we also sort of have a tap from the United States is going to be worth a good deal more than a tap from Swaziland perhaps or someplace in the far off world. So we have a tiered system where taps from we have 4 tiers of value of taps. So if you earn a tap from the United States, that's worth 40 credits, for instance, whereas a tap from let's say Swaziland would be worth 10 credits. So you actually would get 4 of those taps for every one of the US that you generate. But yeah, so that's basically where we're at now. We're now actually forging ahead on our second big release for Tap, and that's a monetization platform as well. Because we've sort of identified that for app developers to sort of build stable businesses around their apps, they've got to scale their install base, they've got to get users, and then they've got to find a way to monetize their app. And a lot are turning towards the sort of free model where they're ad supported, and that's what we're trying to help with is providing one SDK where a developer can kind of choose whether they want to be paid for their ad inventory in taps on the tap exchange or in revenue on the monetization side, so that our interface will actually have a slider, and developers will be able to choose with this sliding scale whether they want to be paid in taps so that they can scale their install base, or paid in revenue so that they can earn revenue, or perhaps a mix of both. So that they can have some of their taps go to the tap exchange and some go towards making revenue.
Gotcha. Okay. Hey, and the idea of like country geographically based value it makes sense, because I know that a lot of advertisers, they want to focus on U.S., Canada, Australia. They're looking for these particular target markets, and they're willing to pay more for those particular target markets. So it makes complete sense.
For sure.
That you're following that same trend. Is there? You may have mentioned this before, but I may have just spaced out. is there any kind of mechanism for if I bring a lot of taps to the mix, does that help me out?
Well, essentially, it'll get you more volume. The more the system is designed so that the more you put into it, the more you get out of it. And also, there's a real our algorithm is really trying to help you extract the same value that you put into the system. So if you're putting in mostly US taps, you're going to naturally get out mostly US taps. And vice versa. If you come with mostly Indian taps, we're going to try to send you mostly Indian taps as well. So it's really trying to follow the golden rule as much as possible when it comes to the exchange side of things. So definitely the more you put in, the more you get out.
Okay.
How does that work with multiple apps? Like, for instance, I'm a developer. I may have one app that I want I'm earning lots of taps for, and I got the second app that's just nobody knows about it. Can I say I want all the good value from this one, and I want to move it and help this guy over here out? Is that
you sure can. That's one of the main reasons the service was designed, and that's what what a lot of developers are using it for. A lot of developers on their more established apps, they'll earn all the taps and then they'll spend it to promote the ones that are just fledgling or just starting out. So that's exactly what a lot of people are using the service for sure.
So just points, basically. So if I've got 3 apps that are earning lots of points, I can spend all of my points over on this one that nobody knows about yet.
Exactly. The key with the system right now too is we don't allow people to really stockpile their credits. We want these exchanges to be happening in as close to real time as possible. So there are situations if someone comes in and slams our servers with thousands of taps per minute kind of thing, they are going to start building up credits and that they can later spend. But the general idea is we want people to be spending in real time. So we do have some people come on and they'll say they want to stockpile for a future app, and that's a problem for us because the whole point of an exchange is to kind of maintain that balance and kind of keep things flowing. So we really have to juggle that by, you have to be spending on at least one app. It doesn't matter which one. Like I said, you can be promoting your, a much lesser popular app, but you always do have to be spending something so that we don't have a bunch of sort of hidden taps in the system that kind of can throw things out of balance.
Yeah. And when we talk about spending, we're still talking about free tap credits that you build up from earning.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly.
Now, I think we had talked previously, and you talked about something about a revenue sharing. Is there any kind of that? Tell me about that.
Exactly. So that's the next iteration that I was sort of alluding to previously, where we're going to be able to offer both sides of that equation, the get users and the make money. So we're sort of building out a really exciting system right now with on the monetization side. We're getting into real-time bidding because right now, are you familiar with RTB, real-time bidding? It's one of my favorite acronyms.
I am not. No.
We're going to be an SSP, DSP,
Oh, seriously.
SSP, DSP, RTB. That's what we're going to be. We're going to be a supply-side platform with a demand-side platform access, and we're going to be in real-time bidding, which essentially means RTB is sort of the darling of the advertising world right now. And it's the idea that you can assess a given ad impression on the fly and determine its value to a whole host of advertisers. So that's what our revenue side or our revenue split side is going to be based. So you'll send your ad impression into our system, and then you'll decide whether you want it to be a tap or whether you want it to be an ad revenue. If you decide you want it to be ad revenue, then it goes into our RTB system. We will then have a number of different partners bidding for that ad impression. So one of them will be a demand. In this case, we're a supply side platform because we're supplying the ad impression. Then a whole host of demand side partners, like there's one called Human Demand, and there's one called Smato, and there's one called Turn. These are all demand side platform partners. So in real time, they'll look at that impression and they'll look at the data that we have appended to it, and they'll say that impression is worth a tenth of a cent to me, and they'll bid for it. And if we get a high enough bid for that impression, we'll have that ad then populate the ad unit, and then we'll do a revenue share with the partner, with them obviously getting the lion's share of the value of that impression. And so what we'll basically have is on the monetization side is what's called a waterfall. So it'll go to this RTB system, we'll see the best possible bid that we can get for that, And then we'll also have direct relationships with brand advertisers and stuff. And maybe we'll have a target campaign where someone's willing to outbid anyone in the RTB side. So then the target campaign will then fill that ad impression. So it's really interesting because it actually all happens while a consumer is waiting. It all happens in milliseconds.
Good grief! Now that's that. Yeah, that warrants a slew of acronyms for sure.
Yeah.
So
Exactly.
what I hear then is that, and correct me if I'm wrong, but you could start out with basically a tap for tap promotion, just straight out, just trying to get as many installs as you possibly could, and then after that you could administratively behind the scenes slide into more of a revenue earning position where you want to then monetize the ads that are showing up in the apps.
Exactly. I got a little in depth there, but that's exactly the basic idea, is that we can kind of be with app developers from every stage of their development when they're just growing, exchanging taps. When you only have 100 installs, ad revenue, a $1 CPM or a $5 CPM isn't that much on only 10, 15 installs. So developers in the early stage of their sort of life cycle are really interested in getting those installs up, which is what the cross promotion exchange is for. And then once they're at a sort of a good number, or maybe they get up even into the App Store charts or the Google Play charts, and then they're in, because we were seeing that problem, right? We'd help these developers grow, we'd generate thousands and thousands of installs for them, and then they'd be like, okay, see you later, I got to go make some money now. So they'd go to AdMob or one of the other sort of revenue generating partners. So we wanted to be able to keep them and simplify it for them, because if there's one thing we know developers don't love, it's installing other people's software packages into their apps. So we hope to be able to just provide them with the one and have them be able to juggle between both options.
Yeah, and that's kind of what I was trying to talk about earlier with fragmentation, is this idea that there's a lot of different options right now that are being thrown out to developers. And the problem is that, one, it's not their comfort zone. They want to develop the app, but they're not necessarily marketing or advertising people. And two, which one of them works? Which one of them provides the best? And I know that from previous experience in different areas that ad networks don't always. They're not equal, and two, some pay out better than others, and some pay out better than others in different times of the year. And some of them have longer payouts, like you pay, either 30 within a 30-day window or a 6-month window. It just depends.
Exactly. What I recommend, even with our service, we're starting out here, is that app developers use a mediation layer, like AdWhirl or like AdMob mediation, where you can just sort of, you can test. You really do have to test different ad source or different ad partners against each other, because you're absolutely right. They're going to vary, and they're going to vary season to season, and they're going to vary from app to app, from your traffic base to other ones. There's going to be ones that are better at monetizing. My company and myself, I come from a monetization background, and we're doing all sorts of really interesting things, I think, in this real-time platform and in some of our ideas for monetizing. So I'm really confident we're going to be able to compete with everyone. But that being said, as an app developer, you've got to test. You've got to let that proof be in the pudding.
Yeah. Now, are you're talking about the handling the real-time assessment and monetization on the back end and stuff like that? Is that something that the developers will be able to bring their own ad network to the party, or is that something that you guys will supply and then they'll just be able to slide over into that?
I'm not entirely sure what you mean. App developers providing their own ad network.
Yeah, well, okay, yeah, let's clarify that. So, like, there's a bunch of different ad networks out there. Let's say I want to use one in particular. I know that some people do this on websites where they know that network A is their go-to network, and they put that on the website. And then, but for some reason, network B is running a promotion this month that kills network A, in terms of performance and payouts and all this stuff like that. So they dynamically sort of flip so that they're using B over A just for this period of time,
Okay, you're talking about mediation then?
Yes.
Like an ad mediation layer. That's an interesting idea, and we would love to be able to include other ad networks, monetization options in our own SDK. That's a really a broad, big picture. Maybe in the end game we would be able to do that. Okay. But that's something at this stage that I think developers would have to do on their own. They would have to mediate us between AdMob and tap for tap and decide what works best for them.
Okay, so the value into the developer then in your case is that you're handling all that for them though, and you're going to provide this monetization option that they don't have to worry about.
Exactly.
So they get the strong promotion in the beginning. They can launch their app. They can get as many installs as they want. Kind of get their distribution platform in place, and then do the monetization aspect of it. And you're going to handle all that, and they don't
without ever swapping out an SDK.
Right.
So you grow with the app, basically. No, I like that. I think that's great.
Exactly. That's the idea.
No,
what about, like, for instance, in-house ads? Let's say I want to advertise my particular app in a couple of the others. So I kind of want to do the tap thing and earn some points. I want to do a little bit of monetization, but maybe, say, 30% of my ad sorts needs to be my own app. So it kind of like basically be an in-house ad. Is that something that I could insert, or would I have to go through something else, or just code it?
I think for now that's something you'd have to code. I love this idea, and it's something that we definitely want to build into the system, because we've kind of increasingly found developers who do this. Right now, your ads, you have the choice between promoting your ads or not promoting your ads as part of the exchange. You can select not to show your own in-house ads if you only want to bring in other ads, or you can select them to be part. But we don't have a way right now of them saying only promote my house ads for a certain portion of my ad inventory. But I really like that idea.
Extra sliders, I know. We got to program those first.
At my house, we call that double dipping.
Yeah. Is it allowed or is it not at your house?
It depends on if guests are over.
Depends if it's flu season.
Who's watching? Yeah,
That's right. Okay, so let's talk about conversions then. I mean, it's good to get exposure and things like that, but what tools do developers have for tracking conversions with tap for tap?
So we track conversions. That's their tool right there. We basically with this new switch over to the tap exchange, we made it essential that that's the big ask on our part is that you install our SDK. And once you install that SDK, we provide you with install tracking, with the ability to geo-target where you want your ad campaign to go, language target as well. The other thing is that we offer 3 different ways of integrating ads into your app. We know that no 2 app developers are exactly alike, so we have 3 different ways of integrating apps. You can put in a banner, you can put in an interstitial, which comes between levels or things like that. The one that I'm really excited about is the app wall, which is, are you guys familiar with the app wall?
Yeah. I've heard references to it.
Yeah. So an app wall, it's the best kind of ads for your users, because they're only selecting to see them. They don't see them unless they touch a button in your app that says, show me more apps, or apps that we like, or developers have any sort of way that they like to integrate this little button. It could be in an option screen, it could be on their home screen, and then a wall pops up that says, these are the apps. Here's the featured app. Here are the other apps. So that's a really user-friendly way to integrate tap for tap ads, and it's one that we find has incredible conversion levels as well, because that's a really qualified user, is someone who's gone into that little spot to say, I want to see more apps. So we track all those conversions for you over a 7-day window, and like I said, we're doing thousands a day basically at this point, and it's going well.
Excellent. Now, this as you were saying all that, this just kind of occurred to me. Is there a way to target a particular app that's in the network? Is there a way to?
This is all part of what we do right now. Because it's an exchange, it's sort of essential for us to keep the controls of what goes where, and that's a bit of a sticking point with some people. But it's just because it's free, we've got to be able to do that. We're going to be layering in more and more controls on the paid side of things, so that you can build campaigns and select specific kinds of apps and things like that. But on the exchange side, balance is sort of paramount. So we don't give the option of selecting which apps go in there. We have the choice of selecting whether you want, whether you're okay with mature ads or not. And that's basically the line. You can say, I want mature ads, or I don't want mature ads. But other than that, we let our algorithm in the back end do everything as optimally as possible.
Okay, well that's another good question. Thank you for covering that, because I hadn't thought of that until just now. But as you said it, I didn't really think about it. Just kind of went in my ear
got
hole.
a kid's app. You don't really want Bikini
yeah.
Babe wallpapers or something like that, right?
Nah, not so much. Not so
That would be
much.
difficult.
Yeah,
Yes.
you might see your uninstall rates go up. Okay,
Exactly.
so let's talk about this in relation to the Corona SDK then. So do you guys integrate with the Corona SDK? What's going on there?
So we started in March, and a friend of mine right off the bat said to me, you got to get those plugins ready. You got to get Corona, you got to get Unity, you got to get all these guys going. And we were so wrapped up in developing this product that, and the whole time I was trying to make a hire. I wanted to hire a mobile guy, and it took me a really long time. It took me until actually at the beginning of last month to hire a really strong mobile developer. He's a friend of mine who I played ball hockey with. I'm Canadian, so I always have to work hockey into every possible interview that I do. And he's a heck of a mobile developer, and he's a pretty good defenseman. And so he's hard at work now building out our plugins basically. And he started with some easy ones so he could learn our system. He built out a PhoneGap one. He built out an Adobe Air one. Right now he's doing some videos for us to help ease developers, make it a little easier for developers to install our SDK, some instructional videos. And then right after that he's diving headlong into Corona. So I hope within about 2 weeks we'll have our Corona plugin ready.
Okay, great. So hopefully hopefully we can all be on tap for tap by the end of the year, huh?
Yeah, that's definitely the goal.
Yeah, that would be very cool. Yeah, I'm really interested in this idea again because, like I said, it just seems like there's so much going on that developers have to worry about. And Chris and I were talking earlier. There's no real, in some spaces there's obvious answers. That of course you use this tool, of course you use that, whatever. And it's so confusing right now, I think, for developers, and so many things are uncertain. And that's just the kind of time that they don't need to spend trying to figure these things out. And it seems like you guys are out there addressing that, which is very cool.
We're trying to. It's similar to what Corona is doing, right? Corona is allowing developers, to be creative and spend their time innovating rather than spend their time coding. And so we're trying to do the same thing. We know marketing is sort of the last thing on a lot of developers' minds, but increasingly that's not going to work, right? Increasingly, this is sort of what I actually host a podcast that I had you on a couple weeks ago, Charles, called Tap Your App, and it's all about different different ideas around marketing apps. And so we wanted to be able to provide a solution that developers don't have to spend a lot of time on, that's really simple, that can walk them through those 2 key steps towards kind of creating a successful app business. And so hopefully we can continue to grow along with Corona.
Yeah, absolutely. So let me ask, since we got everybody here on the panel, and I know, Eric, this is one of the things that you ask, and so I'm totally just stealing this from you, is what's your favorite app? Right now, what's the app that you would want somebody to know about?
Let me go last.
Oh, you want to go last? Okay.
Yeah.
Who wants to go first? Anybody?
We're good. We're good.
Okay, go ahead.
The ones that I have been literally using a lot. 2. One for me and one for my kids because they just got this. I've been using Run Meter, which was actually, that was your recommendation because I go trail running, which is, it's close to a city, but you're in the middle of nowhere, so you really have no clue how far you're running or where. It's just some trail with down trees and hills and creeks and all of that stuff. So I have no idea how far I'm running or anything. And Run Meter has got a built-in map. So it's got this little squiggly line of me going in circles and figure eights and up and down, and the whole bit. And then it tells me how far did I go and how long.
It's a stalker's paradise.
Oh, it's awesome. So that is,
you can run so fast.
Oh yeah.
What's the other one?
And then the one for my kids, actually, a school teacher mentioned it, and it is called Food Ucate, like educate, except it's Food Ucate. And they basically, because they both have iPods, and so the moment we got that, they literally went through the entire pantry, and you grab an item, and then you use the camera and you scan the barcode, and it brings you all the information about what is it, what does it have, how healthy is it. Well, the moment they mentioned it, oh, what is this? It was like, let me go double check. Somebody's telling you to download an app. It's all under my account, so they don't get to do anything on their own. I get to download it all. So I downloaded it and went, hey, this is pretty cool. And, of course, 30 minutes later, they're coming back going, all right, these aren't healthy. Why did you buy them? I'm like, oh, you just leave those in Daddy's office. We're good. I'll take care of those, Don't worry about it.
Do as I say.
The healthy stuff, yes.
Not as I do. That's funny. That's funny. All right, Brian, you got something?
Well, hold on, I gotta look up the name of it.
Okay.
I've been using it a lot, and I'm blanking on the name. So you go ahead.
Okay, I'll tell you. I'll go next then, because I've got two in particular. And Eric, from our last conversation that I'm a kind of a productivity guy. I like apps that help me be more productive. And so the first one's Evernote. Evernote is, it's one of those apps that I've known about for a long time, and but never really found the killer application for it. Just had that killer need for it. But now I've got to the point where I'm keeping so many notes, so many ideas, so many different type of different projects and things like that I need to be able to keep notes. I need to be able to keep audio and pictures and video, and I need to be able to clip things from websites and all that kind of stuff like that. And Evernote allows me to do that, and it allows me to do that on in a kind of a cross-platform way. So I can come to my MacBook, I can open up the app, I can use it from there, I can close that, go to my iPhone. It automatically syncs to my iPhone. So now I've got it on iPhone. I can flip over to the iPad, and they even have an Android version. So if you need to flip over to that, you can use it there. So no matter where you are, your data is there, and you're completely on the go and productive all the time. And so the other one is called Dictimus, which is a dictation piece of software, and it's pretty advanced. In some of its features. But one of the things I like most about it is that it has a noise sensor, like an audio sensor. So whenever you stop talking, it'll stop recording, just like a dictation, like somebody taking dictation. And so, which I was going to say a dictation machine, but I don't know. I've never had a dictation machine. I've only seen them in cartoons. But it'll stop recording, and so you can take that moment, and I have to do this all the time, take that moment to get your next thoughts together and then say what you want to say. Well, at the end of the audio, you've got maybe a 30-second, 1-minute audio. It's all clean. It's already all chopped. It's everything. It's one complete unit, and you can send it off to somebody if you want, and they'll be able to understand it. It won't be it won't be odd or awkward or anything. So very very cool app. And I don't remember the prices on those. I think the Evernote's free, and then the Dictimus was maybe like $1.99 or something stupid. All right, Brian, what you got?
Okay, I've got three that I've been using a lot lately. Pages, which is an Apple product. It really makes your iPad a productive tool that you can take into meetings, use it just like a laptop, and I've got an external keyboard to my iPad, so I pull up Pages, I'm ready to go. The second that I have been using more and more is called Blueprint, and it's for designing the user interface design for your apps. It's got tons of already pre-made things that you can just drag on and get the basic layout for your application. The final one that is my guilty pleasure is Kingdom Rush, and I've been playing that. They've added a few new levels to it. It's a tower defense game, and did a real nice job with it. It's rather addictive. So.
Very cool. All right, Eric. So what you got?
Well, I'm cheesy. I love Instagram. I actually just had a photo. I just did a little photo show at a local coffee shop where I printed out a bunch of 5x5 Instagrams of my neighborhood. Sort of made a little calendar of it for people, and I got a big kick out of that. So I'm a big Instagrammer. I really like, there's this app that I just discovered through one of my interviews, actually. Someone mentioned Sumly, and it's a really good, like a little news summarizer. It basically is able to give you any topics you're interested in, summarized concisely. And it's a beautiful looking app. I'm not exactly sure how it does it, but it usually gets me the relevant information as quickly as possible, and it's a really good user interface. So I'd say Sumly. And then I'm a big fan of the Super Brothers game. Super Brothers Sword and Sorcery EP. To me, it's one of the best uses of the platform, especially on iPad. It's a game that's it like just calms me right down for some reason. I just feel really calm and relaxed when I'm playing it. The music is beautiful. The 8-bit pixelation of it is just is really artistic and nice as well. You guys fans as well?
I'm fans of the 8-bit. I've got a couple of them that are like that.
Nice, yeah. So those would be my 3: Instagram, Sumly, and Super Brothers Sword and Sorcery EP.
Oh, very cool. I'll have to check those out. Yeah, Sumly is sounds very interesting to me because I use Flipboard to subscribe, really to consume Facebook, Twitter, a bunch of Google Reader, a bunch of different media sources. But even that, as well constructed as it is, sometimes can seem a little overwhelming just because if you like. If you ever subscribe to an Android Authority feed, they publish maybe 20 articles a day or something, and it's just like your whole Flipboard's filled up with Android Authority. So having something that would par it all down to the most important stuff would be great.
The neat thing about Sumly too, it was developed by a 17-year-old who just got something like $1 million or $2 million in funding from someone. So it's just to make us all a little angry.
No, I love those stories.
It's great. I know it's great.
Yeah.
Those barriers to entry just keep lowering, right? Especially with products like Corona. Yeah. It gets easier and easier to make really innovative and interesting stuff.
Yes, exactly. And thank you very much for that segue. That's nice. But tell you what, we've got a few more minutes here. I want to talk about this last thing, but before we do that, Eric, tell me, where is the best place that people can find more information about Tap4Tap?
Tap4tap.com. Check it out. If you're at all interested, you can just send me an email also at Eric@Tap4Tap, ERIC. Be happy to chat with anyone, Skype with anyone, anytime. We just completed our media kit, which was sort of something I worked on last week to really pull together, exactly where it is we're going to be in about 2 or 3 weeks' time in terms of our full plan. So I can send that to anyone if they're interested. But Tap4Tap.com has the full bit of information on the cross promotion side. I also check out our blog where I'm interviewing interesting people like Charles McKeever.
Yeah, people should definitely subscribe to your podcast, right?
That's right, on YouTube.
And is that under the same name?
That'll be just youtube.com/Tap4Tap.
Yeah, and then because you do a lot of interviews with, like you said, with developers. I've been training for a marathon, and I've actually gone out to iTunes and downloaded the podcast, and then I consume it through that. On these long runs, I have plenty of opportunity to listen to those. What do you got on the screen there, Chris? What is that?
It's his blog.
I can't even get over there. I saw a mustache on somebody.
Oh, that's my friend Austin Church from Mustache Bash.
Oh, right, yeah, I listened to that interview. That was, okay, that's right.
Yeah. We have a one with Corona. I'm blanking on his last name also. David, he's the COO.
Rangel.
Yeah.
David Rangel. I interviewed David Rangel, and it's one of the best interviews we've had yet, and I think that'll be up. We're going to try to coordinate that with our launch of the plugin. But
excellent. Yeah, David's an excellent speaker. Does great interviews. Okay, very cool. All right, yeah, so definitely go check those out. Subscribe to the podcast for sure. Okay, so one last bit of news here is kind of an industry news. I guess industry news. I don't know if this is really related, but I thought it was interesting, so let's talk about it. Google Fiber in Kansas City. Have you been following this?
No, I heard about it to begin with. Thought it was awesome.
So Google has had plans to launch fiber in Kansas City, right? Kansas City. And,
yes, Kansas City, Missouri.
Yeah,
Kansas City, Missouri.
Right. That's what I meant. And it's 1 gig up and 1 gig down. So blazing fast speeds. Now, one of the interesting things is that it's almost like this brain trust is beginning to develop in that space because people are, we've got these really blazing fast speeds. So how can we utilize that? What can we use that for? And so these little
and there's all kinds of tech industry relocating to Kansas City to take advantage of this.
Right, because
they're seeing a boom.
So this is so that's interesting in and of itself. But also, what's happening is Google is rolling out here. Yeah, scroll up a little bit there, Chris. Yeah, Google is rolling out their internet, but they're also rolling out things like their TV service. And they're trying to really kind of capture that market where you've got you're on your mobile, your laptop, your TV, your everything, and they're even setting it up so that the service comes with a free Nexus 7. So again, here's the mobile tie-in is that they're promoting their tablets. Now I know Android, is an operating system and it can run on all these different devices and everything, but Google is really kind of trying to pull together what I call a point of singularity, for that platform and push it. And I think this is all part of that strategy. And it's all, so if you're looking for a good use case or a good place to focus on, right now Kansas City is that petri dish.
The heartland.
It is the heartland, yeah. And out of that, I think there's going to be so many things that are going to come from that, from a mobile perspective as well. I mean, I don't know. I don't know what it is yet. I don't even know what it is yet.
It's really interesting.
It's Wi-Fi. I mean, think about it. Everybody locks down their Wi-Fi because they don't want them stealing my bandwidth. Okay, I have a gig up and a gig down. We're good.
Well, that's the other thing too, is that they've actually negotiated a deal with the city to offer free Wi-Fi. So citywide Wi-Fi. So imagine being able to develop your mobile app. And people have data plans today, but some people are, the carriers are moving to a point where you have to pay for every, every drop of blood that comes out of your device. So what happens when those kind of constraints go away? When it's too cheap to meter, when it's completely free and
well, and as it was just showing on the screen there, they're not putting a cap on the data download. I mean, if you've got Wi-Fi right now, DSL cable, whatever, you probably started out with no cap. Well, AT&T has changed that. Now we've got a cap on, 150 gig per month. I'm always bumping up against that. You do one of these broadcasts every week, you're going to be creating it.
Yeah.
And out here in Abilene, our internet is just horrible. It's just abysmal. I had better service in the Ozark Mountains of Missouri than I do in Abilene, Texas. So it's really pathetic.
That's a very good point though, because if you put a cap on something, well, now you're pushing it down. You're pushing down creativity. You're constraining it, right? But because if there's a cap on my internet, well, now, doing one of these broadcasts is going to be prohibited. Okay, but think of all the things that come out of a broadcast like this, or something that comes out of something like Tap for Tap, or something that comes out of something like Corona. You don't want to put restrictions on that. And so anyway, I think this whole Google Fiber thing, it's starting in Kansas City, but there's no reason why something like this couldn't be rolled out to a broader audience. But they're just it really.
Well, and Kansas City did have a huge advantage that it is in the heartland. It is one of the major hub points of the backbone of the internet. So that 1 gig really does mean something at that location. Yeah. We're not talking about Abilene, Texas, where it is nowhere close to a major hub. It's where the internet actually goes through, and as the backbone, and the 1 gig is going to be really fast at that point.
Yeah. There's definitely. I mean, I'm not saying that they can just roll it out like next week or anything, but just the idea that at some point the connections could be fast. It could be limitless, and what could come out of that from a mobile perspective is just mind-boggling.
It's sort of the opposite of the fragmentation we were talking about earlier. It's interesting how it's both happening, right? There definitely is a fragmentation in some areas, but there's also this total consolidation. This idea of someone's internet experience sort of being defined by fiber. The idea of mobile is going to go away in the next 5 years or so, right? It's just going to be, you won't have to specify. It's like everyone's internet experience will be anywhere they are, regardless mobile or not. So it's really interesting to be on the forefront of this stuff happening.
Yeah, yeah. I think that when the thermonuclear Apple versus Google war is over, the cockroaches will have the best self-service and mobile app experience ever.
Don't forget Facebook too. They just announced that external advertising network.
Oh yeah,
like, that's gonna have Google kind of terrified in their boots a little bit with all the data that Facebook has on people.
Yeah, it's very true. Very true. Yeah, and that there's no reason. This is almost one of those science fiction things where you've got really fierce enemies, and then at some point they all come together and join forces, and then it's the Apple Google book,
Yep.
something, and you're like, wait a minute, you guys are all enemies, but but y'all came together, and now we're all one. Yeah.
To monetize us.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
This is my favorite quote of the year that I've kind of said it a couple times, is that you need to remember that when a product is free, it's because you're the product.
Very nice.
Good one.
Very nice. All right. Well, I don't think we can go any higher than that, so let's just leave it there then. So Eric, thanks for joining us today. Thanks for being here. I think I understand tap for tap a whole lot better today, and I'm looking forward to the next couple of weeks when the Corona SDK piece is available, and I'm definitely looking forward to that interview that you did with David Rangel from Corona Labs. So
thanks so much for having me. It's been great chatting with you guys.
Very cool.
Absolutely. Thank you for coming on. I'm going to have an app wall now.
Thank you.
You're going to have an app wall now? All right, everybody. Well, thanks for watching today. Thanks for being here. Thanks for watching on YouTube with the live broadcast. And if you're watching this at home and later, you can definitely go to youtube.com/CoronaGeek, Facebook.com/CoronaGeek, Twitter.com/CoronaGeek. If it's out there, if you're on it, we probably are too. So follow us and join us next week. We're going to be talking with Alex Souza from Quickshare. And he's going to be telling us how you can take your Photoshop work and turn it into a Corona SDK developed application without doing any coding. So that's going to be an awesome interview as well. So be sure to check out that next week right here, Google Plus, 2 p.m. Central on the Corona Geek channel. So thanks for watching and have a great week.